All right, I already know what you're asking yourself. You're like, you did a better makeover like 6 months ago. Let's act like that didn't happen, because this one's 1,000 times better and you're gonna love it, okay? Because today we are turning my bedroom into a medieval casserole. Not a medieval casserole. That makes no sense. No, a medieval castle. Let's do it. So this is what my room looked like before, and it was already redone. There was nothing wrong with it. The main issue was with this room is that I still had a lot of LARP things scattered around my apartment that I realized they would all fit in this room if I just redid it a particular way. And in the corner of the room, this is what it looked like. You might notice a lot of these things are now in my living room because I did move them from my Dark Academia living room makeover, leaving this corner very bare. So, all that to say, there are a lot of different DIYs I did do in this room previously, and if you want to see those projects, because I will not be going over them in this video, definitely click on the link on the screen right now to watch that video, or click on the link below in the description box to see everything that I had completed then. Now, first things first, I had no intention of making over my room at all. Let me just say that right now, okay? I have to say that right off the bat, because this makeover started with me just removing a shelf off of the wall, and from there deciding to cover the holes that the shelf made with the stone that I made from my Gryffindor Harry Potter room makeover. And then as I was doing the stone wall, I thought to myself, I have a whole idea now. I should probably film this. So that's the backstory. So when I show you the footage and I'm not like starting entirely from the beginning, that is why. So this room started with me removing this shelf off of the wall to create some sort of mock headboard. Initially, as I mentioned, did not plan to actually make over my entire room until I started putting up this stone wall and I realized this just looks too out of place having just the stone and nothing else. So kept all of my vines in the exact same place they were previously and just put the stone underneath. The stone that you're seeing, I hand painted myself for a Gryffindor common room makeover that I did. If you want to check out that video, you can click here. But it was a crazy long process. I absolutely would not recommend it. I tend to make things really difficult for myself when I'm doing DIYs. I could have just bought a stone wall, but I really like the way that this looks personally. Everything is unique because it's all individually hand painted and shaded. There's also like things that you can do with the stone because it's individual pieces that you just couldn't do with a backdrop. All I did to apply this stone was I just used painter's tape. Sometimes I use paper tape, sometimes I use painter's tape. It just really depends what I have on hand and what's convenient. I don't typically go out and buy something specifically for a project. I will use whatever I have in my house at the time. So I just had painter's tape, and that's what I used to put the paper to the wall. Once I was done with the stone wall, I attempted to add everything that was originally on the wall back onto the wall. Because sometimes I just need to see if it's gonna look good or not. I can't really figure that out in my mind. I need a full visual. So when I put the swords back up, I realized this is not gonna work. This does not look princess vibes. It looks like a dungeon. So I got some gold sconces from my living room and I decided, okay, I'm gonna put these here, but it needs to surround something other than these swords, because the swords, it wasn't doing it for me. And that was where this beautiful ornate mirror came into play, which was originally in the corner of my room. And I didn't love this placement. I just truly had nowhere for it to go. So I was like, okay, let's see how this is gonna look here. And once I put this up, I realized this is where it belongs. This looks way more princessy than anything else I've come up with so far. So finally found a home for this gorgeous mirror, and ended up placing that right over the stone with the gold sconces on both sides of it. Next, it was time to move on to this wall, which previously looked like this, but now it's entirely bare. I kind of already had a setup for my swords starting. well, one sword. So I just kind of kept going with that idea of lining them all up on the wall. I thought it looked really good, and I have quite a few swords, so I did have to, arrange them in a symmetrical way. And I thought this was a really good way to fill the space with something that I use all the time. I mean, it's great. It's great. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of these. No way, I have all of these still. This wall behind me, this corner, vines. I am so excited, no freaking way. I also have more flowers. And I also have these wings, which you saw before I changed my room again. And I also have these ones, by the way. So I'm gonna be putting both of these on the wall. And to apply my vines to the wall, all I used was packaging tape. Packaging tape is how I've put up my vines for every single makeover I've done, and it always sticks. It doesn't stick to the wall either. I do have a matte-based paint. If you're putting packaging tape onto a gloss paint, most likely it will just fall off. So it really does depend on the type of paint you're using if the tape will stick. But I've been lucky to have matte paint, and so my tape is always stuck. For the flowers though, I did install those using wire nails. Wire nails, very thin, make very small holes, easy to patch up when you move, and you don't even see the damage at all. Like, you can't even tell anything was there. So I always use these for smaller projects, to hang things on the wall, to put wall sconces up, picture frames, anything like that. Anything that's light, I will use those for. Always come in handy. Okay, so I got a sword recently when I went to Drachenfest. So now I have more swords to add to the wall. So I have this really cool sword, and they're both short swords and they're almost the same length, which is perfect. I think this one needs to go on this side because it's longer, and this one over here. So I'm gonna have to, oh gosh, actually I don't know. So I went to the Drachenfest LARP recently, and I ended up bartering my way up to the coolest item that I had in mind for this room. I gave away pretty much everything I had collected throughout the day just to get this amazing flag. And when I saw this, I just knew this is the piece that I needed to bring this bedroom to life, because how sick is this? It's perfect. So I'm gonna put this up on the wall. This is my assistant. She doesn't do much, but she's great company. I really wanted to put some stone here around the door. I don't know, I'm just gonna put some up, see how it fits. Maybe lay it out on my bed beforehand to make sure this will actually work. I don't know, I think I have enough pieces here to do something with. And it's looking a little bare over here and not as castle-y. So I really want to make it look as castle-y as I possibly can, so let's do it. I also totally forgot, I still have weapons that need a home here. I have to figure out where these are gonna go. I think the best strategy here is to lay everything out before I put it on the wall, because I have a lot of different sizes here and I need to make sure everything works, so I'm just gonna do that. Now, this is really where having individual pieces of stone comes in handy, because you can do stuff like this that you can't do with a backdrop you buy. So just saying, it worked out really well. Adding this around the door, 1,000 times better, way more interesting. So now I just have to figure out where to put the sword. Next, it was time to do a DIY I have been talking about for so long, and that is a diamond grid window. So for this DIY, I got some grid tape off of Amazon. It's a 1/4 size, and it was only $6. I will link it below. Originally, when I thought about doing this, I thought that I was gonna hate it because I thought the grid would obstruct my view from outside, and that's very important to me. And after I put it up, this was hands down my favorite DIY in this room, and I regret not doing it in my bathroom now because that was originally where I was gonna do it before. Now that I have put it up and I have the tape to do it, I think I'm gonna do it because it really just changes the entire atmosphere of the room. I love the way the light comes in through the window and then it puts the grid shadow onto the wall, and it's just so pretty, and I couldn't recommend this one more. I don't like the blue. It doesn't match anything. If I had other stuff to work with blue, I would keep it, but I think red is more the vibe, especially for medieval. So because of this, I did go buy some fabric from Walmart in a burgundy color, and I decided to cut out the shape at the bottom of the flag and place it on top of the previous color to cover it because the blue just was not working. This was a very easy DIY. All I used was hot glue in order to get it onto the flag, and at some point I am going to use 𝚜𝚎𝚗𝚡 glue. That is typically what I go for, but it does take a bit longer to dry, and I did not have enough time for that. So I just used a hot glue gun, super easy. Anyone could do this, and it made such a huge difference once it was done. After I was done with the flag, I had leftover fabric, and I've actually never made a pillowcase before. This was my first attempt, so I attempted to do one. I remember my mom making them back in the day when I was little, and again for this I just used hot glue. I'm going to use 𝚜𝚎𝚗𝚡 to really hold this together later, but I just didn't have enough time to do it that way. Another really easy DIY, a lot easier than I thought, but I quite literally just folded it in half, glued it together, and flipped it inside out. This is just going to be another item thrown into the mix that's going to match the flag on the wall. Okay, listen up, I have an idea. So I have this light that Kiki gave me. You might know her from my other videos, and it's solar powered, and I wanted to hang it here so there was something more at the door. I don't know, I just thought that might be cute. I have this leftover chain that I've been using for years to hang light fixtures. The only thing is there's no handle on this, so I have to figure out how to hang this. I would need string, I just don't have string. Such a simple thing to have in a house. I don't, so I'm gonna hang it here. Will it look dungeony? Maybe. There you go, I'm using these little hooks right here. Ta-da! Here we go. That's gonna go there. It's gonna hang here. Ta-da! And it's gonna turn on. Also, do you like my hairstyle? This is my new hairstyle. It's pretty cool. So I ended up finding a gold chain. This obviously looked way less dungeony because let's be real, the other chain just looked like a dungeon, which is not what we're going for. We're going for princess vibes. So I ended up utilizing this extra chain I had and hanging it to the ceiling. And because it was a lot longer, it had some slack. And then I attached a string to this light by just tying it around the entire light itself and then creating an extra loop. Once I had it hung up, it looked cool, but I thought that the black, again, made it look too dungeony. I needed to bring in more gold to make it feel more princessy. That was literally the main thing I kept doing was if anything looked too dungeony, it had to be gold. Easy. And I just used Rub and Buff for this, and it's one of my favorite products to use to make anything gold. Person that lived here before put the plant hangers like 1.5 feet away from the window. I don't know why. You can't even put anything underneath it if you keep the plants here, which I had a shelf here. Stupid. So I'm moving it. There is a hole here though that I can't do anything with because I tried to take the anchor out of the ceiling and I couldn't get it. So I'm gonna put this back here. Ta-da! We did it. See, it looks so much better now, like I said. Okay, really the last thing on the list is doing like the bedspread and setting that up, adding some little decor pieces to furniture that's already in the room, and then the reveal. Today's video is not sponsored, but I am putting on Brooklinen sheets, and that's what I'm using for my bed. These are the best sheets I own. I wanted to get a new bedspread, but I decided I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna use what I already own. It's a neutral cream color, and then I'm just gonna add some throw blankets on top to give more color to it. I have lots of different pillow options from the ones that I made, including other ones from IKEA that are all fur. Ironically, this works really, really well, and I've been using them for other things, but now I can actually use them on my bed. And then to add in more red colors, I got some pieces of fabric that I typically use for my LARP events or for like picnics, and I decided to wash them and use them on my bed instead. And any other LARP items that I had laying around, like my capes and my furs that matched the vibe. I added those in there just for some extra decor. Now this entire corner needs to be redone. I did put my chair back in the corner because this is its designated spot, and I took a IKEA plant and I put it next to the chair along with this Victorian piece of furniture that I found on the side of the road. We love free stuff. Then it was time to decorate the piece of furniture. This candelabra I got from Amazon. I wanted this placed on top because, again, gold. This plant from IKEA, it's one of my favorites. It looks so realistic. I've got some more things from Amazon. I'll list everything below if you're interested in seeing all of these individual pieces. And underneath my notebook, which I actually do use, I put some more fur. We are just utilizing all the stuff I already had. Then I had a little coin pouch, again, from my LARP events, and I decided to lay that out along with all of my in-game currency from different LARPs I have been to, and I also included this little picture frame of a white horse, which I'm going to say it's a unicorn. And then, of course, my chalice, because a princess would have a chalice, right? This basket I thrifted, and something I like to do when I have modern items laying around, like a star projector. I like to hide them away and then cover them when they're not in use because I think they're such an eyesore and I think they're so ugly. So I put this in the basket and I cover it with fur when it's not on at night. And lastly, I got another piece of fabric right here, which is like a scarf or blanket, however you want to use it. And I'm just going to lay that over my nightstand to bring in some more red colors. And of course, put my tankard right on top of it. So after all of that work, this is the before of my bedroom. And now let's take a look at the after. medieval castle room makeover. What'd you think? You know, this whole room makeover started with me taking the shelf off the wall back here, and I wasn't even planning on filming anything. I was just gonna do something really random in one day, and I was like, wait, this is actually becoming a bigger project than I imagined, so I'm gonna start filming it now because it might end up cool and I'm gonna regret it. And I'm glad I did start filming because it ended up turning into an entire room makeover. But I'm glad I did it because now everything that was kind of in a spot in my apartment that it didn't belong, it had no place to go because all of my other rooms are made over. Now it's actually on display in a place where I don't need to take it down because it works there. And same with like my LARP swords and even that little lantern that Kiki gave me. That was another item I had no place for it to go, but now it's hanging from the ceiling and it's out of the way. I don't even need a shelf for that. And then the chain that the lantern is hanging from, what are the odds that all this stone lined up perfectly on this wall and around my door frame from a totally separate Gryffindor common room makeover? What are the odds? I don't know. See, this is why I keep a lot of the DIY things that I make when I move, because I typically end up reusing absolutely everything again. Like these vines you have seen in every makeover I've done, in every home I've lived in every home I've lived in. So there's been 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th place I've used a lot of the things in every makeover. And if you have been here since the beginning and you've seen all my videos, like all of my makeover videos, you're gonna obviously notice so many repeat items that just continuously get recycled. And it just goes to show that you really don't have to purchase a bunch of new stuff every time you decide to update your room. You don't. Anyways, all that to say, I love it. I think it turned out great. The only thing I might remove at some point in the future, which I didn't in this video because I'm on the rocks about, is the bed sheet that's on the wall. Again, it's one of those things, if I'm not gonna display it, I don't want to keep it in a closet. For what purpose? But the thing is, I used to use my projector as my main source of watching entertainment because I never had a TV until I moved here. So I don't mind it, but I would really love being able to watch something on that wall. So I might take it down. Anyways, that is it for this whole makeover. Let me know what your favorite part of this was and what sort of makeover would you like me to do next? Give me some ideas because I have some ideas. And if you like themed interiors or immersive experiences, stick around because I try things so you don't have to or so you can, you know? That's pretty much what my channel consists of. So if you want to be friends and hang out and see all the crazy things I get up to, I'm here. So I guess that's it. And I'll see you in the next video. It's so hot in here. I gotta turn on this AC. All right, bye.